from regimes which do not allow the free flow of information, for example. I believe, and there are many, and you might remember that the Commission is always speaking up and raising its voice, because the web is not free everywhere, you must know. And here we got an opportunity to get the web really free everywhere. That might not be very convenient for all politicians all the time, because we cannot control the information anymore as we were in the old medias. But I believe that for democracy in large, it is a real big step forward. So the inconveniences we have to live with, and maybe also political campaigning will not be the same anymore now with the Web2 as it was in the past.
Yeah, some of our politicians discovered that the last election. Let's take some more from the floor. Right back there.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Sagerman with Games for Change. We're a nonprofit supporting the use of video games about real-world issues like poverty and the environment. And a lot of us, people who are both activists, there are technology pioneers, social entrepreneurs, all care and depend on something called net neutrality. And I haven't heard people talk about it very much here, and I wonder if the panel will talk about it at all. Thanks.
Well, we'll get a couple comments. I think, Commissioner Reding, you can go first.
The European Union is for net neutrality. Very clearly, we think the access should be free, it should be an open access, and there should be an availability of the content. So, very clearly, Europe is for net neutrality.
Bill?
Yeah, well, actually, net neutrality is a term that Craig Mundy and I came up with trying to think about these telecom things going forward. And what you want to balance is you want to give incentive for internet infrastructure companies to build higher bandwidth. But even if there's a case where they are the primary way people are connecting to the internet, to make sure that's not abused. And we do see that in some countries, because the internet pricing is so regulated, they're not building the higher bandwidth internet. Asia, they're building it. US, now they're building it. So it's hard. You have to strike the balance of encouraging people to build infrastructure. And what net neutrality tried to capture, and actually quite a few industry companies got involved in that and got behind it, and AT&T ended up agreeing to it as part of a merger, although it's not law. It says that it really defines what fair behavior is if you're the infrastructure owner, things that you should not do to favor your own content or content that you have special payments related to.
Dennis? Net neutrality is a great buzz phrase, and you guys are good at coming up with those at Microsoft especially. But the great thing about technology and capitalism is that we won't even need government to force these guys to keep their networks open. They're going to keep their networks open because they want to make money running the networks. And if you try to tell your users, I'm not going to let you access Google, they will quit your service and they'll do something else. It's one thing for a phone carrier that was granted, a government-granted monopoly for years, to get phone service to the people so they can reach the ambulance when their baby is sick. But when Google wants to go around buying dark fiber all over the world, as it's doing right now, and some people think they want to build a super net, their own internet. And, you don't have an inalienable right to be able to watch YouTube. You don't need that. It's not telephone service. Google should be allowed to charge whatever it wants to whomever it wants. It's just that Google will make as many people come on board by charging them as little as possible. We may not need government to get involved and order Google and tell it what it can and cannot charge for its services.
This has nothing to do with what Google charges for its services. What this relates to is that when in economics, it's only economic in many locations to have one infrastructure, water, electricity, broadband, where you don't have multiple facilities-based competitors. The way that you take, say, electric generators on the network, or natural gas providers on the network, or content providers on the internet, and this is taking over for TV, so this is fundamental stuff. The way you make sure that that person who has the only scale economic infrastructure there doesn't abuse that, there's no magic economic formula for that. In the long run, what you want is multiple facilities-based providers. And if you give us a decade with the magic of wireless and chip magic, software magic, some peer networking stuff being done, we think a lot of the world will be covered by multiple broadband infrastructures. But there's a lot of it that are covered by single, and that is open to abuse.
Okay, let's move on. Another question right there.
Yes, hi. My name is Bill Rosenblatt. I'm a consultant in the digital rights arena, and there were a couple mentions of this. We're having a session on this later this afternoon, actually, and I'd like to sort of prequel that by asking the question, particularly of Bill Gates, but anyone else who'd like to respond. What form do you think the solution to that problem is going to take? Is it going to be technological? Is it going to be through policy, through behavior modification, social norm modification? Where do you think it's going to come from?
Well, I'd be glad for any other people.
Well, actually, I'd like Chad to take because you're right at the center of the storm on this right now.
Yeah. So, in terms of what we're doing, I mean, we've been a market leader in terms of serving video around the world, but we have also been the most proactive in terms of addressing rights issues. So, we are working on technology that will identify content that is copyrighted, and we're opening up, like I was saying, a new market opportunity for the network studios and labels to leverage that. So, right now we're implementing audio fingerprinting, and the labels will be able to identify their music. They'll be able to claim this content and earn revenue against ads that are placed against these videos. And this is giving users a free and legal ways to be creative. We want to support that, and we're just going to expand on these ideas to bring more choice for the users, but also protect rights for our partners.
Today, if you own a physical copy of something, you don't worry as much that when you move to a different device or you buy a new one, that all of a sudden it won't be available. And so the whole digital rights thing, there's certainly technological innovation so that if you buy a song, a movie, a book, that on all your devices, you'll have it, you'll never lose it. You can mess up your machine, forget to back it up, and you still won't lose all of that. So that is very solvable. That can get done. Making it work across manufacturers, which you can call that the iTunes problem, that's a tricky problem. That's probably solvable. Getting the right ease of use and yet the enforcement piece, that's a tricky balance, and there's going to have to be some creativity and work to make sure that that's done well, because you never can inconvenience users, and right now MP3s are the convenient way to deal with music.
Yeah, I must say, I find this a difficult one to wrestle with. Since iTunes, and no offense, Bill, I'm buying 10 times more music than I used to because it's so much easier.
You are the one person that's buying more music. Congratulations.
I'm not so sure. I know lots of folks are buying more music now as a result. Commissioner Reddy.
One of the things I think that's happening is that we are seeing a lot more of what is called user-generated content. I actually prefer the term participatory media. On Flickr, we are very much part of that whole movement, that whole trend. We make sure that all of the copyrights of the work of the people who are uploading to Flickr continue to belong to the people who are uploading their work to Flickr. And we are providing a vehicle for their work to get out to the rest of the world. And I think this is a very significant piece of the so-called Web 2.0 as well.
Commissioner Reddy?
When I say that content must be accessible online,